All right, so today was just, in my opinion, full of fleeces. I mean, we talked about Miami, we talked about Chicago. We gotta talk about Boston, man. Orlando got fleeced twice today, in my opinion. But Evan Fournier to Boston for two, not first round picks, two second round picks. I mean, a 20 point per game scorer worth two second round picks. Rob, who won this trade, man? Talk to me.
I don't even know why you're asking this question. Obviously, the Boston Celtics won this trade. It was absolutely insane. I mean, as right now, it looked like the Orlando Magic. I think they came to a very quick decision that they're probably going to blow it up and actually start the race for Cade Cunningham, as we talked about in the earlier segment. But if you were going to do this, you might as well should have just waited until the offseason. Like, this right here looked absolutely insane. Two second rounders for Evan Fournier. Now, a lot of people don't necessarily know that Evan Fournier had been bugging this season, but he averaging, as you said, about 20 points, about 3 boards, and about 4 assists. This right here seemed to be an absolute fleece of a deal. Now, the Boston Celtics, they absolutely needed. They were absolutely floundering. Now, they started the season off very good. Jason Tatum was looking absolutely insane, and Jaylen Brown was going crazy. Of course, he got into the All-Star game. It looked absolutely crazy, but of course, Kemba Walker came back. He didn't come back completely healthy. Looked like he was smiling after they was getting blown out. A lot of Celtics fans was pissed off, and then they just kept losing. They kept losing. Of course, right now, I'm not even sure if they're over 500. So they needed some sort of help to actually aid Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to actually get over that hump. I'm not even going to include Kemba Walker because he's not. He shouldn't be in that conversation. I think right now, Evan Fournier is most likely going to be possibly even the second option. Obviously, Jaylen Brown's probably going to be a very good player, but in terms of actual, in my opinion, you feeling playoff scoring, I think Evan Fournier is going to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more dependable, especially in the playoffs. So I think he's probably going to be the second option. I like this move for Boston, but I just don't necessarily think it really does anything in terms of actually putting them over the top and putting them in the competition with like the 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. I still believe they should have absolutely made this trade. This was an absolute fleece of a deal. I don't know what the Orlando Magic was thinking about, but this right here is just absolutely crazy. And what you think? Who won this trade in your opinion?
I mean, I think it would be easier to ask me who lost this trade. I'm at a loss of words, actually. It don't matter what team you are in this league. For two second round picks, you make that move, which brings up an even better question. Why weren't other teams making these calls? Why weren't other teams?
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody should have at least 2 second. I'll give you 3 second round picks for a 20 point per game scorer.
4, might as well.
Yeah, I mean, listen. As far as fits go, I think that a 20 point per game scorer on any team is amazing, but it's going to be very competitive with Boston because they're very top heavy as far as guard play. Well, and wing play altogether. You got Kemba, but we saw, Kemba seems to have issues being consistent. He was having some serious consistency issues early on in the season. Along with Jason Tatum too. But at this stage, we thought Jason Tatum would be, at least making that top 10 player in the league argument. But Jason Tatum himself is sometimes on and off. Jaylen Brown has been the most consistent player all year. So
absolutely.
I think they made a great move. It's a no-brainer. Every team in the league should have made this move. But I don't think it was a need, I think they really needed a big. We just talked about it. They really needed Vucevic, if we're going to be honest.
Absolutely.
But you weren't getting Vucevic for 2 second round picks.
I'd trade a Marcus Smart for Vucevic in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat. But listen, if you have the opportunity to get 20 points per game off the bench, because like I said, it's a scoring league now. Everybody's trying to be able to put up points with the Nets. But my question to you is, because I don't think this was the best fit for him. It's just a trade that you got to do no matter what. It's 2 second rounders. What team do you think should have jumped on this chance to make us two second rounders? What other team should have jumped on this besides Miami? Because I already know, Miami. Listen, I know it's your guys.
I personally think every team should have jumped on this. Absolutely. But one team that I'm going to say in particular, I'm a little bit biased. I talk about them a lot. It's my second favorite team. I think the Phoenix Suns should have definitely jumped on this trade. One, because, of course, the Phoenix Suns don't really have any first rounders. And, of course, they have a whole bunch of second rounders. They could have potentially done that. But I think the Phoenix Suns right now, we think of them as a very good story. We think of them as a very good team. Of course, they came from basically damn near the bottom of the league 2 years ago. And now they're the second best record in the league. we think of them as just a good story. In terms of competing with the Lakers, in terms of even competing with the Clippers, we're not necessarily sure. I personally think they're going to be up there, but we're not necessarily sure. Devin Booker, we're not sure of. I think that insurance of scoring off the bench could have potentially propelled them into that conversation. The players that they do have coming off of the bench, they're not bad. You know, Dario Saric, he's not bad. Cam Johnson, he's not bad. But they don't necessarily have that bona fide scorer coming off of the bench. And I think Evan Fournier would have gave them a little bit of that legitimacy coming off of the bench. I kind of wanted Lou Will to go there a little bit as well. But I think this right here could have been a better fit, man, because Evan Fournier, just by being Evan Fournier, Lou Williams, a complete zero on defense, is a better defender than Lou Williams. I think that right there could have potentially been a little bit better. But overall, I mean, all 29 other teams could have potentially made this move. We're talking about 2 second rounders. This right here, this right here makes me think that the Orlando Magic was just getting on the phone with anybody and saying, "Yo, what you want for him?" And they were just giving deals like they was Oprah. I'm pretty sure, 100% sure, if the Boston Celtics would have said 1 second round, they'd have probably accepted it. That's how crazy I think it would have been. But overall, as I said, I think any team would have been lucky to make this deal. Any team would have been lucky to even offer 3 second rounders. What do you think, though?
Listen, I didn't even think about Phoenix. That would be amazing to have a 20-point per game scorer coming off the bench behind Chris Paul, behind Devin Booker. That would have been amazing. 2 teams that I have in mind is Golden State and the Lakers with the injuries to Bron and AD. The Lakers, I don't even know how they're going to stay afloat without Bron or AD. They're really top heavy, so they could have definitely used another scorer, you know, while those guys get healthy, come back, just so they can stay afloat. But the Warriors, 100%, you know, Steph Curry, he needs another scorer. Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre, you never know with them. You know, they're really. Sometimes they want to shoot. Sometimes they shoot worse than Ben Simmons. It's a toss up with them. But I can't even, you know, it's hard to narrow it down for the price of 2 second round picks, man.
No, anybody could have taken 2 second rounders and just threw it to them and just acquired Evan Fournier. Yeah. I mean, it's not like Evan Fournier is completely damaged goods or anything like that. Evan Fournier is a bona fide player. He's a very good player. I mean, he's not necessarily all-star level, but 20 points per game is 20 points per game, no matter what team you playing for. You know?
Yeah, man. I don't listen. We don't even have to talk about it, man. We know who won this trade clearly.
Speaking of Boston Celtics, that's not necessarily the only trades that they did. I mean, when you talk about Daniel Tice going to your team, the Chicago Bulls. I think that right there was definitely a decent trade. I'm not necessarily too sure about the overall trade details. Do you know the overall trade details?
Yeah, so what ended up happening is we acquired Mo Wagner, and then Mo Wagner spent about 5 to 10 minutes as a Chicago Bull, and then he got shipped to Boston for Daniel Tice. Me personally, I like the move. I like Mo Wagner, though. Don't get me wrong. Mo Wagner, people look over him because he's still young. He's Mo Wagner. You know, he's like, oh, he's just another NBA guy. But I like Mo Wagner. He still has potential. But when you bring in Daniel Tice, somebody that's rugged, you know, a hard nose, a guy that's going to get physical in the paint, you know, I love a guy like Daniel Tice. That's another veteran that we needed on the team. Somebody who's going to provide quality minutes, workhorse. You made that argument about what are we going to do when we go small ball. Daniel Tice can't be taller than 6'9", 6'10". So you throw a combination of him and Thaddeus Young in the game when guys want to go small ball. Listen, I love the moves that we made. I think we got a lot of much needed veteran leadership in our locker room.
I 100% agree. Well, first things first, I think it's Mo Wagner, not necessarily Mo Wagner. I know a lot of fans might get pissed off at you.
Don't crucify me.
But defensively, yeah, definitely. I mean, Daniel Tice could definitely switch off on a couple of guards or something like that. He could definitely hold his own. One of the things that I really want Tice to do, he needs to stay in the paint. I mean, I know he's trying to expand his range. I know he has to adapt. He got to stay in the paint. I mean, last year in the playoffs, my team, when we won against the Boston Celtics, whenever he'd shoot even a mid-range, bro, I was happy as hell. I was happy. You taking a ball out of all these scorers' hands. Gordon Hayward, you taking the ball out of his hands. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker. if you going to take that many, by all means, I think he was shooting like 10% from the 3-point line in that series or something like that. It was absolutely insane. But I think him around the rim, you feel me, coming off the bench to spell a player like Vucevic, or you spell a player like Larry Marketing, could definitely be a very good fit for the Chicago Bulls.
I definitely don't advise him to be taking any more jump shots. You know, if it's not garbage points.